Hi, I'm Emma from Rugby Art Gallery and Museum, and today I'm going to show you how to make a painting using instant coffee instead of paint. So it's a really great activity if you don't have any paints at home. It's using something that you might have in your kitchen cupboards. So for this example, I'm going to paint a cup of coffee, but it is just an example, so you can paint whatever you like and just really experiment with the technique. Now you can see to do this I've made up a cup of black instant coffee in the top left hand corner. So I've just got some paper, which is a thick watercolour paper, so use the thickest paper that you've got, a couple of thin paintbrushes, a pencil, a rubber, and then I have also put some of my instant coffee granules directly into my paint palette. So these are the grains you can see on the right hand side of the screen. And then in the centre of my paint palette is a pot of clean water. And then I'm going to start drawing my picture first. So I'm just going to sketch it out in pencil to start off with. As you can see, I've started with the rim, so the circular shape at the top of my cup. Now the easiest way to draw this is to hold the pencil at an angle so it's almost flat but not quite flat to the page. So if you hold your pencil on top of the long length, quite close down to the nib. And what this does is it helps you naturally create an arc or a circular motion until it looks the right size in comparison to the cup that you're drawing. Using the same technique, so holding the pencil in the same way, I'm going to draw the curve at the bottom of my cup. I'm going to use a ruler to draw in the vertical edges of my cup. Now mine are straight edges, they don't curve in at the bottom that much. But if you also do a little bit more, I would still use a ruler, because what it does is it helps you make sure that everything's symmetrical from the start, and that helps keep everything in proportion. So once you've drawn the lines, so the extreme left and the extreme right of your cup, then you can adjust it slightly and sketch in those curved edges, and just paying attention to make sure that they match. Next, I'm going to draw the inside rim of your cup of coffee. So that's the line where the drink can be seen as well. So really pay attention to that and look at how much of it you can see. So how much of the inside of the cup can you see, and how much of the drink can you see? Now I'm sitting quite close to my cup and I'm looking down over it. Therefore I can see quite a lot of the inside of the mug along the top edge and not a lot at the front of the picture. So I need to make sure that the inside curve and the edge of that drink really matches what I'm seeing, so it's thicker at the top than it is at the bottom. So follow the outside rim that you've already done, just bring that line in a little bit and it will start to look like it's three-dimensional. So I'm then going to sketch in the handle on my cup, and again I really need to pay attention to where this starts on the side of the mug, so the top edge, and where it joins at the bottom, and make sure that you mimic that in your picture. Remember that the handle is also three-dimensional, so it's got a thickness to it. So you need to really look at where those lines are. So how much can you see on the front edge? Is there kind of an inside bit that you can see, and mimic those lines? Probably don't want to put too much detail in there at this stage, because you can add extra with the coffee paint later on, but it's just to give you an idea of shape and form before you start. So then just add any other details that you might want to. So I've got a slight lip underneath the mug that I can see. I wouldn't add any pattern details, so if you've got any patterns on your mug, I wouldn't add that in at this stage. You can do that with the paint, otherwise it'll be tricky to remove the pencil lines. I'm then going to draw the saucer that the cup is sitting on. Now, even though mine has curved edges, again I'm going to draw it with a straight ruler to help keep it in perspective. Now the first line I'm going to draw is the back line, so the furthest away from me, and this is because it's important to look at where this line sits with the top of your cup. So does it appear to go above it so you can see the whole line, or does some of it break up so it kind of starts on the left, goes behind the back of the cup and then keeps going? And that distance is really important to making it look realistic. And then I'm going to move down and do the same with the bottom line. So then once I've done the horizontal lines, I'm going to turn them around and do the sides. Now mine tilt at a slight angle, so I'm going to measure that. Again, you can put the ruler alongside the saucer if you've got a square one. If it's round, just use the extremities and make sure that angle matches up, and then draw it on your page, and then make sure that the left matches the right, and then the angles match the angle that you're looking at them. They might be different to mine because it depends on the shape of what you're drawing and where you are sitting in relation to it. So draw what you see in your picture. Once I've got the extremities drawn out, I'm then going to add some thickness to this. So if there's anywhere that I can see underneath the saucer, mine's got a wave edge and mine isn't actually symmetrical. So I'm going to then replicate that, and I'm going to use a rubber to rub out any of the lines that I don't need. So you're now ready to start painting with your coffee paint. So to mix this, you need to take the instant coffee granules that you've got in your palette. You don't actually need as many as I've got in mine. You probably only need a couple of sections. And the clean water that we've got in the centre of the pot. And this water's cold, it doesn't have to be boiling water, it works perfectly fine with cold water. And so I'm just going to take some of that and mix it in with the instant coffee. Now obviously the more water you add, the lighter the colour the paint will be. What you want to do is to make sure that you've always got more water than you have coffee grains. So you need to mix it in and make it like into a paste or into a paint texture. You don't want it to have like bits of the grains kind of forming like a grit or a texture in your paint. You want it to be smooth. So you could mix up a couple of different consistencies at this point if you like. So I'm going to start with the darkest areas on my picture, and this is because my still life is predominantly white in colour, and what I don't want to do is lose that lightness too much in the picture. So the first thing I'm going to paint is the coffee inside the coffee cup, and you can see that also helps you see the edge of the cup and where that meets the drink. The second thing I'm going to paint is actually the background. So by painting around the outside edge of the cup, it helps bring that cup forwards on the page. It helps it look three-dimensional and we can really see where it is. So I'm actually just going to add some extra water if I want to make any areas lighter, and just really loosely paint some brush marks in the background so that I can clearly see the form that I'm painting. Then going to start looking at the shadow areas in my picture. So that might be underneath the top rim of the mug or on the side of the handle, those areas that make it look three-dimensional. Now even though my mug and saucer are predominantly white, I still need to add some of these shadow areas in so that I can feel like I can pick it up like it's a 3D form rather than a shape on the page. So I'm just going to start underneath the rim, and I've added some more water to my mixture so it's a really light paint. I'm going to gradually fade it out so that there's just from light paint underneath the rim to water, so no paint on at all at the bottom. And you can see just by doing that it starts to make a 3D effect. And then I'm going to work my way around the rest of the picture to add in these shadows. So like I say, inside of the handle is a darker edge, underneath the mug, and any shadows that form on the table top, so underneath the front surface, is likely to be a shadow. So just kind of look for those and plot them out in your picture to help it look three-dimensional. Don't be afraid to remove some of the paint with a kitchen towel if you feel like you've gone too far. So if you just dip the kitchen towel in some clean water, it will absorb some of the paint back off the page and just take it back a little bit. So you can do that, and also just adjust the lines and think about if something doesn't quite feel right. It might just be readjusting a line or making it slightly thinner or thicker, and that can just be the difference and all it needs. You can also see that I'm using the very tip of a thin brush to pick out some lines, so particularly the inside rim at the top of the cup, and that will help differentiate between the top flat surface, if you like, and the inside edge. Just things like that can make a big difference in the real level of realism that your picture has. If you have any pattern details on your cup, like I have, so I have a simple letter and a number on mine, the easiest way to do this is to ignore it to start off with and just paint the mug as though it was plain. Then once that layer has dried, you can mix up some paint. If it's dark like mine is, then mix it up with less water, so it's a thicker paint, and go back over, so I'm drawing it in afterwards, and this will make it sit on top of the picture and it will appear darker. You also then don't have to go in and out of all of the pattern details to make it look intricate, so it's easier to manage that way. And you can see that while I'm doing that, I've also gone back over the coffee drink colour inside the cup just to make that stand out. You can find a full written list of the materials that I'm using and also the instructions in a step-by-step format on the Rugby Art Gallery and Museum website. So that's www.ragm.co.uk/art for all.